We all have goals that we want to achieve, things that we want to pursue. You want to start that business, you want to start posting on social media, you want to write that book. And despite the fact that you've wanted these things for a long time, you keep on saying, okay, I'll start next month, I'll start next year, I'll start when I'm ready. You never actually start them. You know the reason why you have not started it. You want things to be perfect before you start. You want to know everything about social media before you start. You want to know everything about video editing before you start a YouTube channel. So all the stars must be aligned before you start that thing, because you don't want to start something and you don't want it to not be good. So both of us know the reason why you have not started that thing. You want it to be good enough, and you feel that maybe you're not ready, you don't have the skills, you don't have the money, you don't have the necessary personality to do that thing. You want it to be perfect, basically. And I understand that these are actually valid reasons. Like, obviously, you don't want to put out something that is not good. You don't want to be all those kind of people that used to half-ass things, that they just enter something and they don't understand what they're entering into. So you want it to be good. But I think that it can actually be to your detriment if you keep on waiting. If you have analysis paralysis about the things that you want to start. 2 years ago, you wanted to start a blog. You've not started the blog yet. You wanted to start a YouTube channel. You've not started the YouTube channel. You wanted to start a business. These things are big projects. And you have been researching, you have been learning, you have been improving your skills and everything, but you still don't feel ready. So this video is just about how perfectionism is slowing you down, and you don't want to be a perfectionist. You need to start before you're ready, because in reality there are so many things to learn. Even the biggest authors, they keep on learning new things every day. So you cannot say that, okay, you don't want to start writing a book until all the scenes and your head are perfectly complete. I was watching this video the other day by John Green, the author of The Fault in Our Stars. So he was saying that he's preparing for NaNoWriMo, but we should not fool ourselves. We cannot write a good novel in 30 days. You cannot even write a good novel on your first draft. Because I was thinking that, you know, all these popular authors and successful authors, you read the book and you feel like, oh, this is a very good book. Like, in your head, you feel like they wrote it at a stretch. They just wrote from chapter 1 to chapter 2, word for word, until they got to the end. But it was a very big comfort to see that someone like John Green, that's such a successful author, actually say that in your first draft, your book is going to be rubbish. So saying that you don't want to start your book, you don't want to start writing, you don't want to start anything until you actually know everything about it is not possible. Think of the best person in your field. They don't know everything about that thing yet. So don't deceive yourself that you want to learn everything before you start. Before I started my blog in 2020, I spent like 2 months, I spent all my waking hours learning about SEO, blogging, email marketing. I just wanted to be good at it when I started, because I didn't want to start with a bad blog. Do you understand? So even though I had given myself a 2 months gap for me to learn that thing, to learn how to blog and everything, and I had spent every day learning, when I still started the blog, there were things I did not know. Even to set up the blog, after reading, I had read so many articles, I had followed so many bloggers, subscribed to their emails, learned everything that I needed to know. But even when I started, I was so shocked that there were still so many things that I did not know. You cannot learn everything at once. You actually need to put into practice, to have experience. You don't want to be the kind of person that says, okay, I will start when I am ready. So think about it like this metaphor. There's a baby that is crawling, and the baby says, oh, I don't want to stand up yet until I'm sure that I can perfect my walking. Do you understand? Like, babies walk weirdly because they are just getting used to how to walk. If you see a baby that says, oh, I don't want to stand yet until I'm sure that I can walk like an adult, just look at that baby and you're like you need to fall down to understand how to walk, how to put your feet, how to place it in and be walking, if you understand. So it's the same way you are looking at your project and you're saying, oh, I don't want to start this until I actually know everything I need to start. Why do we feel like we have to make sure that everything is perfect before we start? The simple answer is that you are afraid. If you take a minute and sit down and just reflect, maybe get a journal and just analyze why you have not started that thing that you want to start, that big project that you have been eyeing for 2 years, 3 years. If you sit down and just look at it, you just see that, okay, the reason why I have not started is that I'm afraid. I'm afraid of what people will say about me. I'm afraid that I will fail. I'm afraid that I will succeed. I'm afraid that the time and energy you're going to put into this thing is not going to be worth it. So that's why we're obsessing over every little detail. We don't want to start that thing until we know everything. Fear is a basic emotion, like, you know that Inside Out movie, fear, anger, sadness, happiness. Those are basic emotions that we need. Fear is good sometimes. It keeps us from danger, it protects us. Fear is a necessity. Sometimes fear holds us back in a bubble, like it keeps us in our comfort zone. And there are more exciting things outside our comfort zone. So if you keep on saying, okay, I'm afraid of doing this, like, you keep on locking yourself into that tight bubble, in the end, fear is not going to be good for you. It's going to be damaging yourself. It's going to be restricting you. How do we come out of our comfort zone? You know, fear is keeping us locked in and we are trapped basically inside. So how do we come out? The thing is that you need to do it afraid. That big project that you want to do, you have to start it despite your fear. So that blog, start it even though you're afraid you're going to fail. That YouTube channel, start it even though you're afraid of what people are going to say about you. All the most valuable life moments in our life, they are the times where we actually step out of our comfort zone. So I have 2 things that can help, and hopefully 2 of them will be something that you'll be able to put into practice every day once you finish this video. First thing is that we can force ourselves to act. So most of the time, we like to say, okay, I won't start the YouTube channel until I know how to edit videos. So that is a very vague thing. When you say, okay, I don't want to do this until this is finished, you never know the exact moment of finishing. You know, when there's a plate of food, you know, okay, once all the grains of rice has finished, it is finished. But you can never say the same thing with a skill. I want to learn how to edit videos. Editing videos is cutting, is color grading, is so many aspects that you cannot learn in this lifetime. There's always a new way of cutting videos. There's always a new way of transitioning videos. There's always a new way of color grading, all those kind of things. You can never finish a particular skill because it is almost infinite. So you need to give yourself a specific limit. You can say, okay, I won't start a YouTube channel until I know how to cut. So even though there are different types of cutting, but so far as you know the basic way of cutting, that's a limit to box you in. So that once you've learned how to cut, you know that, okay, at least that's the basic thing I need to know about YouTube channels. That I don't need to add all this ceremony first before I start the YouTube channel. So the same way you can give yourself a deadline that in 2 weeks, I'm going to learn everything about this business, marketing, so on and so on and so on. 2 weeks is done and I say, okay, I'm launching my business. So you need to force yourself to act. Give yourself a specific time frame. Give yourself a specific skill that I need to learn. If not, you keep on extending it until 4 years have passed and you have not done that thing that you wanted to do. Second thing that you need to do is you need to acknowledge that fear. So you need to dissect it, and you can do that by journaling. So one time I was journaling and I sat down. I was just wondering why I was so hesitant on publishing. I kept on wanting to postpone it, and through journaling I found out that the way people used to review the books that they don't like, and I'm afraid of putting out a bad book because people can be wicked and people can break down something that you have spent a lot of your time working on. When I wrote that down and I dissected it, I just sat down like, no matter, even you, there are books that are so popular but you don't like them. It is art. It is subjective. Like, not everybody will like your work. So if you have a particular fear, just sit down and just ask yourself, like, what's the worst that could happen? So somebody leaves a bad review. So somebody says that, oh, horse shit and my book are the same. I'm just giving an example. If someone says, like, what's the worst that could happen? Like, you start a YouTube channel. What's the worst that could happen? Nobody watches your video. At least you learned how to edit. At least you have documented your journey so that when you are 50 years old, you can look back on that channel and you're like, oh wow, like this is my mindset when I was 19, when I was 20. Even the worst things, if you look at it with a good perspective, you can actually find things. So just sit down. I challenge you to sit down and just journal for a few minutes about that thing that you want to do, but you keep on procrastinating. Why do you keep on waiting? Why are you wasting time? So whenever you say that, oh, I'm a perfectionist, I like paying attention to detail, you're just using time to say, oh, I'm afraid, I don't like when people judge me, or I don't like failure. I don't like, those are the things that you are saying when you say you're a perfectionist. And I don't think you want to identify as a person who is constantly afraid and who is constantly refusing to go after their dreams. There's something that you want, go after it. What's the worst that could happen? Anytime you're overthinking things, you can come back to this video as many times as you want. So just remind yourself that this perfectionist thing is not going to help you in the long run. You just need to start before you're ready. You don't need to be the best at something before you start. You just need to be good enough. Do you understand? Because you're still going to get better. Even though when I recorded my first video, I liked it. Now that I'm 30 videos in, I just look back at it and I'm like, okay, this video, I shall notice things that were not right with it. So even if you say you want to be perfect before you start, like, you're going to improve on that perfection the more you have experience. So I hope you liked the video. If you did, please hit that like button because it's a way of supporting me. So till next time.